I noticed on LinkedIn, a lot of people send me messages, ask me, how did I get into data science? I didn't study math. Can I become a data science? How did I get into Amazon? Now I'm very jealous. I hope they value your energy.
I love it. Hi everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. In today's video, we are talking to Daliana, who is a senior data scientist at Amazon. She's also a huge LinkedIn content creator. And the fun fact is that Daliana and I, we worked together at Amazon during my time there. So I thought it'd be a cool idea to have Daliana over on my channel to get to know a little bit about her work in the data science domain. Daliana, welcome to my channel.
Hi, Sundas. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining again. I'm super excited to talk to you today. You started your journey in data science. You started with math and statistics. And at that point, data science was not as popular, or the term was introduced in somewhere around 2014, but it seems like you already was in the field, like you were studying statistics and math. So could you tell us a little bit more about your journey?
I studied math in college, but it was very theoretical. We learned a little bit C++, writing a for loop, but that was the only programming skills I had. And I didn't know how to apply those skills in companies. So instead of finding a job, I applied for grad school. I went to UC Irvine and studied statistics. So I got my master's degree, and then I found my first job in a small, medium-sized company. I was the only data scientist. I guess the title was data analyst, business intelligence. I helped them build time series models, worked on reporting. Because I was the only one, so I was able to work on a lot of aspects of the business and touched lightly on different aspects of data science project. And then a recruiter from Amazon reached out to me and hiring me for the role in Web Lab. That's the team where I used to work with Sundas at. And then I studied some A/B testing, experimentation. I used some SQL in my previous work, but I wasn't an expert. So I also prepared some SQL questions for this role, and then I got hired. And my initial business title was business intelligence engineer. But actually, that was 50% of my work. Another 50%, I was a statistician working with research scientists to develop statistical models. At that time, there wasn't data scientist role in Amazon. So as a business intelligence engineer, I think part of my work, I already doing data science work. And then the job family of data scientists was introduced in Amazon. And then I think my transition was natural. And then I got interested in machine learning and AI. I took some courses from Amazon's internal bootcamp called Machine Learning University. I moved to another team in Amazon Web Services, working on machine learning and AI, solving problems for Amazon Web Services customer. And recently, I moved back to Amazon. I'm working at a team called Amazon Shipping. So I will lead projects on forecasting, experimentation, and optimization.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience and specifically your journey at Amazon. From our time back together, I think we were both like entry-level data science, and now you are working as a senior. And from what I heard from this morning when we were talking, that you are currently transitioning to become a manager. How's your work has evolved from when you started at an entry level to now you're working as a senior and now transitioning to become a manager?
I think when you just started your career as a junior data scientist, your work is very well defined by your manager. You are supposed to deliver this piece. And when you get promoted, you're a little more senior, and the work you tackle is going to be a little more ambiguous. So for example, we want to solve this business problem. We want to have more customers sign up, or we want to reduce the frustration customers have on the website. How are you going to solve it with data? So you're handed with this open-ended question, and you need to find your own solution to solve it. Nobody's going to tell you what you're going to do. So you have more freedom and you also have more responsibility, and you need to learn how to deal with this ambiguity. You talk to more people, understand their business. You also need to align your project with product managers and engineers. So sometimes you're wearing like product manager or program manager hat. And when you become a senior data scientist, and sometimes you help your organization define the roadmap. So they take your input and then decide what the organization is going to do. And your opinion is valued. So it's not just around science solutions, but also how the business should run. And now transitioning to a manager, you think more about what I can do to help this business thrive. And you do less hands-on work, and you need to learn how do you inspire other people to work on exciting projects. And when you evaluate work, of course, you're thinking about the science element, but you always ask the question, what is the impact of this? Why are we doing this? And you also think a lot about the time constraints, the costs. So you are becoming more of a business owner, but with a data science brain, instead of someone just tackling data science questions, running the code, solving a statistical equation.
You basically touch on many points. One of them is like, as you grow in your career, your problems that you're dealing with, the scope gets bigger, and then there is like a much more ambiguity that you have to deal with. And as a manager, your skill set is like completely different, where you are technical, you have the technical depth, but you are focusing more on developing other people.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, like, what was the point where you figured out that you wanted to be a manager? Because I'm sure like there are a lot of people who are watching, they are ICs, and they are wondering if like people management is the right path for them. Like, what was the point that made you realize that you wanted to pursue people management and you want to basically focus your efforts toward that?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I don't think there was a point. I've always been on the fence. So one part of me, I like to inspire people. I like to help people grow. I like to mentor people. So I was thinking, oh, maybe I should become a manager. But another side of me, I think 50% of my personality, I feel I'm an introvert. I don't want to be in meetings all the time. So sometimes thinking about being a manager scares me a little bit. I worry that I might not have the time to constantly develop my technical skills. So I wasn't really sure. But during my transition to my current team, and this is a role that my manager want to develop to be a lead, to be a manager. And then I was thinking, okay, if I'm not sure, why not just try it? You know, if I don't like it, I can always go back to become IC. And I'm always open to have new experiences. And so far, I've been liking it.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations on making that decision, because I know sometimes the hardest part is figuring out where if this is something that you want to do. But I think you gave a really good advice that you can always come back. So I think that's the beauty of it. I wanted to ask you, like, you have worked heavily on the ML side as well as more on the statistics side. So for those people who are new to the industry, the term data scientist is kind of thrown around very liberally. So could you share your POV, how's your experience has been working as a data scientist, whether you're doing more statistics heavy or more ML heavy?
I think during the time when we were working at Web Lab, we're working on developing metrics for different business and different type of statistical testing, helping people make a launch decision. So that was more statistics heavy. But also at the same time, because we collected so much data, we're trying to build a forecasting model to see whether we can predict whether this experiment will be successful. So I think in some teams, those type of projects or skills are intertwined. Even when you develop a machine learning AI model, you still want to run a A/B test in the production pipeline to see whether it works, whether customer likes it, whether it generates, it creates business value. But as a machine learning scientist, I think you're focusing more on how do you train, test your model, how to put it in production. The experimentation is not the core skill of it, but still you need to understand it. But I have seen some machine learning scientists, they just learn the statistical probability needed on the go, and whenever they need to use it. But usually they have very strong engineering skills, and then they're very deep in how machine learning algorithm works. And I also know a lot of data scientists or even data analysts just doing some reporting analytics, because the machine learning packages now is very mature. It's just a few lines of code, you can train a baseline model. It might not be perfect, but it might solve your problems. So I don't think those type of skills are exclusive. And if you're curious, it's very easy to learn. Just watch some YouTube videos. And I think the best way to learn is to adopt that in your current project to see whether it can solve your current team's problem.
So let me ask you a follow-up question on that. So when we're talking about data scientists and machine learning scientists, if somebody who is just a student or new to the industry and they're trying to make a decision, how should they go about deciding if ML engineering and ML science if they should be more ML heavy or if they should be more statistics heavy? Like how would one think about this decision?
Mm-hmm. So if you think about machine learning, basically you are creating a automated tool that is capable to make a lot of decisions at the same time. For example, what product you're going to recommend to this customer? How do you predict whether someone will make a purchase and those sort of things? Once it launched in the production, it becomes a tool. It makes maybe millions of decisions at the same time, and you don't always have to be involved in those decisions. And if you are less interested in the engineering part of the work, or you're more curious about how do you spend a lot of time just to figure out one big decision, for example, what is going to be the trajectory of this business? Maybe you want to evaluate some causal relationship of a program your company is running, and you're not generating like a million business like a machine learning application does, but you look at the data, you have to be very good at math, probability, statistics, maybe causal inference, and then you help the business to make this one strategic decision. So you can think of it in this way, but I also feel that if you just started your career, do not try to pigeonhole yourself. See what kind of job you can get, what type of skill set that's most suitable for you. And you can always transition from one to the other. Another way to look at it, to think about what type of industry are you most interested in. And maybe once you have experience in this industry, you can learn, you can start to think about, okay, what area you want to specialize, or you can become a generalist, kind of like what I am right now.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. There are so many job families under the data science umbrella that it becomes confusing, and it's very hard to distinguish one from the other because there's like so many overlapping parts. But I think like your explanation was super, super helpful. So I'm sure like people who are listening to this, they have a better idea of what those two rules, how those two roles are different from each other. One thing I wanted to talk about specifically more on the creativity side, where you're a huge content creator on LinkedIn, and you talk a lot about data science. How did you get started? Like, was it like for me, like whenever I'm posting on LinkedIn, like the first thing I think of is like, is my coworkers watching this? What are they gonna think of me? Is my manager's watching? They are. So how did you overcome that barrier of like somebody who's just like thinking about starting content creation? Like, how can they overcome when you have the whole world, including your team, watching you?
I started writing blogs on Medium in 2017. I write blogs because I'm curious about how I can analyze some public rent data to figure out what is the best month for me to start renting. And then I found a lot of cities rent have very strong seasonalities. So that was like the first project I worked on, was just out of my curiosity. I was very excited about using data science to make decisions in life. And then I wrote a few other blogs on Medium, basically summarizing what I've learned at work, because I feel if I don't write them down, after a while I switch to a different team, I might forget those experiences. I'm very grateful I did that. So I always want to have a blog. I think it's just something cool, and I like to document things I learned, and also writing blogs help me learn to put my knowledge in the system. I noticed on LinkedIn, a lot of people send me messages, ask me, how did I get into data science? I didn't study math. Can I become a data science? How did I get into Amazon? And then I realized there hasn't been a lot of tutorials or blogs to talk about the data science landscape. And then I thought, instead of answer question one by one, why don't I just write some LinkedIn posts and talk about it? I think Medium is more like a magazine. I want to be closer to people who read my article. I think LinkedIn has been great in this aspect. People can send you messages. People can comment with other people's comment and share it. So I started to share my journey, starting from like, what are the different type of data scientists? Which one is good for you? Especially similar to the question you just asked me. And I think a lot of misunderstanding about the field. People feel, oh, I shouldn't become a data scientist if I'm bad at math and stuff. Based on my coworkers' experience, you can become a data scientist from any type of background. So I really want to help people remove this fear. Especially, I want people to know, just because I'm a data scientist, I'm a senior data scientist at Amazon, that then it means I'm a math genius. I'm not. I have struggled in college, in grad school, in math. I almost couldn't graduate from grad school because I failed in tests. My grad school GPA in the end was 3.2. It's not very high. The most important thing is whether you can learn and keep improving yourself at work. So on LinkedIn, I share a lot of my failures, actually. I think that's very powerful to let people see that I'm just like one of you, and if I can do this, everybody can do this. So that's what inspires me to post on LinkedIn. And also there's some nerdy jokes. I feel if I post it on Facebook, nobody can get it. But if I post on LinkedIn, oh my God, everybody gets my nerdy jokes and I love it.
That's amazing. I love that. Let me ask you, does it ever come up at work, like your content creation, your LinkedIn post? Is it like you're sitting in team meetings and then your coworkers are like, wow, I really like your post that you wrote. Do that happen?
Yeah, that happens. Maybe not in meetings, but I got a lot of messages, especially people who want to transition to data science from data analyst or BI engineer. I usually have meetings with them and they tell me some posts they find is very inspiring. And even in my current team, I usually don't tell people. I write on LinkedIn, but I think sometimes people find out.
People find you. People find out.
People find you. I think what I try to learn is just eventually nobody cares, you're not that important. People know, okay, she write content on LinkedIn. That's it. Then you just still do what you need to do. You say what you want to say. And I think I just stopped caring about it.
It's amazing that you're doing that, because I think that's much needed. As you said, when you talk about your failures, when other people see that, then they realize they're not alone. And I think that's something that previously what we have been seeing is people being successful. And now people like us are talking about failures, talking about rejections. And people are realizing they're not alone. There are a lot more people like them, and everybody pretty much goes through rejections, whether that is interview rejection or something else. Yeah, so keep up the great work, and I am always inspired when I see your LinkedIn post. One last question I wanted to ask you. So since both of us work together, so we worked together for 3 years.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite memory of us working together?
Oh,
And you have to say good things about me.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So many. To be honest, if you remember the type of work we did, we actually didn't collaborate with each other a lot. Maybe it's not like a work thing. I just feel sometimes when you take a vacation and nobody help us, organize some happy hour and stuff. I know you later on, I saw you post, you're talking about those type of chores at work and you should avoid those. But I think, we all miss you. When you think about your favorite coworkers, not just the coding they do.
Who's going to schedule the happy hour?
No, I think it's the energy you put out there. Like, that's what people remember you of, right? At the end of the day, I forgot whose quote, Maya Angelou. People remember how you make them feel. When you're on the team, we just feel there's so much energy, and you always have an idea of, where to have lunch. And then sometimes we finish some small project and you remind us to, celebrate. And I think at that time, I'm probably more introverted. I just want to be on my own, like cubicle, kind of like everyone else. But you talk to a lot of us. It just feels like I really miss that type of connection, especially during the quarantine, right? You don't really have a coworker you can talk to. So I think whoever work with you right now, I'm very jealous. I hope they value your energy.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to show this to all my coworkers and tell them to thank me for working with them.
I'm just curious. I love it. So do you still help your team with those activities? I think you enjoy it. I mean, if it's too much work, it can be exhausting. But I wonder if you still take that type of role in your current team.
So for everybody who is listening, so basically what Daliana is talking about, I used to organize a lot of team events, like happy hours. There was one time like a 50-person happy hour that I organized at one of the bowling place. The team lunches I would figure out. And honestly, as much fun it was, I feel like I shouldn't have done all of that, right? Because I later realized that was me doing the office housework. So in my current team, I don't raise my hand for that type of work. Because
too late after the video's out.
This part I'm gonna exclude from my video so my coworkers don't see it, or I'm gonna stop right before they get to this part. No, so I don't do that anymore. I feel like that's just the office housework should be divided equally among everybody. And so if I'm guilty of raising my hand so often, so I think we all learn from our mistakes. So that's something that I've learned, and I did not introduce that in my current team. And it works out perfectly.
That's good to have that boundary, because you can use that energy to organize events for a family.
Exactly. Well, my favorite part about working with you is that I loved how you always looked so confident. And when you were talking about your data, your work, the way you simplified things and the way you talk about them, those trainings that you gave on experimentation. I watched and learned from those trainings a lot, and I always looked at you. I'm like, wow, she really knows her things, and she's got it. She's speaking in meetings, and she's super confident. So took a lot of inspiration from you. So thank you for doing that. And I definitely miss working with you. So, but maybe down the road we'll get to work together.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
One day. Where can people find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Daliana Liu. You can also search The Data Scientist Show. That's my podcast. It's available on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all platforms. And I also have a newsletter. It's Daliana Liu, my first name, last name.com, where I share some insights about career and the data science that I don't share publicly.
And also, we recorded a podcast today for your podcast. So hopefully that'll be out by the time this video goes out. So I'll link it in the description. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you found any of the content that we shared today helpful, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more similar content from other industry professionals, as well as all the other amazing videos that I post on tech, data science, career, and everything else in between. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.